Intelligent and high-value women talk to men like this. Inspiration by Carl Jung. Wisdom, love, self-respect, and feminine power. What makes a woman truly unforgettable? Dear beautiful soul, from the bottom of my heart, wish and hope you learn some knowledge about how intelligent and high-value women talk to men. And may this feminine power truly make any woman, a wife, a sister, all learn how to talk to men such that can attract her to soulmate love. This is because you deserve the deepest, meaningful love and relationships. Maybe you wish to share your wisdom or experience with us. Feel free to put it in the comment section. Let's continue, inspire, and learning from each other. Thanks for watching. Kindly subscribe and support to keep more of such soulmate connect wisdom. Thus, how intelligent and high-value women talk to men like this. Carl Jung's wisdom on soulmate love, self-respect, and feminine power. Introduction. The woman who knows her worth. There is something unforgettable about a woman who truly knows herself. She does not need to beg for attention. She does not compete for love. She does not chase validation. And yet, people feel her presence the moment she enters a room. Why? Because real feminine power is not loud. It is calm. It is grounded. It is deeply connected to self-respect. Carl Jung once said, "The privilege of a lifetime is to become who you truly are." That single sentence explains why some women constantly suffer in love, while others attract deep soulmate connections. The difference is not beauty. It is not money. It is not luck. The difference is consciousness. An intelligent and high-value woman speaks differently because she thinks differently. She has awakened to her worth. She no longer talks from fear. She speaks from clarity. And men feel that immediately, especially emotionally mature men, because soulmate love is not built on manipulation, desperation, or emotional games. It is built on truth, emotional depth, and mutual respect. 1. High-value women do not chase love. One of the biggest mistakes many people make in relationships is believing love must be chased. They think, if I try harder, maybe he will stay. If I sacrifice more, maybe he will choose me. If I become smaller, easier, quieter, maybe I will finally be loved. But a high-value woman understands something powerful. Real love never requires self-abandonment. Carl Jung believed that people often lose themselves trying to gain acceptance. He called this the false self, the version we create to please others. But soulmate love cannot grow through masks. It only grows through authenticity. That is why intelligent women stop performing for love. Instead of saying, "Please don't leave me," she calmly says, "I want someone who chooses me naturally, not someone I must convince." Do you see the difference? One speaks from fear. The other speaks from self-respect. And self-respect changes everything. She does not insult him. She does not beg him to change. She simply communicates her standard, and then she watches his actions. That is wisdom. 4. Soulmate love requires authenticity. One of Carl Jung's deepest teachings was this: until you become conscious of who you truly are, you will continue repeating painful patterns. This is exactly why many people attract the same toxic relationships repeatedly. They ignore red flags because they fear loneliness. They accept breadcrumbs because they doubt their worth. But soulmate love cannot enter a life filled with emotional confusion. It enters when a person becomes emotionally honest. A high-value woman asks herself, does this relationship nourish my soul or drain my spirit? That question changes everything. Because soulmate love is not just attraction, it is alignment. What soulmate love really feels like. Many people confuse intensity with love, but chaos is not love. Confusion is not love. Anxiety is not love. Soulmate love feels peaceful, not boring, peaceful. You do not constantly question where you stand. You do not fear abandonment every day. You do not shrink yourself to keep someone interested. Instead, both people feel emotionally safe to be authentic. That is the kind of connection Carl Jung believed humans deeply crave. A relationship where both souls are fully seen. 5. High-value women listen to actions. Words can be beautiful, but actions reveal truth. An intelligent woman understands this deeply. She does not fall in love only with promises. She watches patterns. A man may say, "I'm serious about you," but does his behavior match his words? Does he show consistency? Does he respect boundaries? Does he communicate honestly? Carl Jung once said, "You are what you do, not what you say you'll do." That wisdom applies perfectly to relationships, because true love is not spoken occasionally. It is demonstrated consistently. Example: the man with beautiful words. A man sends romantic messages every night. He says, "You mean everything to me." But he disappears for days, avoids commitment, shows effort only when convenient. Many women become attached to the fantasy of who he could become, but a high-value woman sees reality clearly. She does not fall in love with potential. She pays attention to consistency, and that protects her heart. 6. Her boundaries protect her peace. Many women fear setting boundaries because they worry they will seem difficult. But boundaries are not punishment. They are self-respect in action. A high-value woman understands that protecting her peace is not selfish. It is necessary. That is why she no longer tolerates emotional chaos simply to avoid loneliness. She would rather be alone in peace than attached in confusion. And this changes how she communicates. Instead of endless arguments, she says, "I'm willing to discuss this respectfully, but I won't stay in conversations filled with disrespect." That sentence changes the entire emotional dynamic, because boundaries teach people how to treat you. 7. She does not seek completion through men. One of the most attractive qualities in a high-value woman is emotional wholeness. She is not searching for someone to save her life. She already has purpose. Carl Jung believed every person must become psychologically whole instead of emotionally dependent. That is why intelligent women stop saying, "I need someone to complete me." Instead, they say, "I want someone to share a meaningful life with." That energy is magnetic, because emotionally healthy men are not looking for emotional dependency. They are looking for partnership. The woman who became her own safe place. There was once a woman who spent years begging for love. Every relationship drained her, until one day she stopped asking, "Why doesn't he love me enough?" and started asking, "Why do I abandon myself so easily?" That question changed her life. She began healing, growing, learning herself deeply, and eventually, the love she attracted completely changed. Why? Because when your self-worth rises, your relationship standards rise too. And soulmate love begins there. In summary, an intelligent and high-value woman speaks differently because she lives differently. She no longer talks from fear. She speaks from self-respect. She does not chase love. She attracts alignment. She values peace over emotional chaos, actions over promises, authenticity over performance. Carl Jung's wisdom teaches, you ask that soulmate love begins the moment a person becomes fully themselves. And that is exactly what makes a woman unforgettable. Not perfection, but emotional truth. Her energy says, I know who I am. I know what I deserve. And I will never abandon myself just to be loved. That is the language of a high-value woman. And that is where real soulmate love begins. 8. A high-value woman never loses herself in love. One of the deepest mistakes people make in relationships is confusing love with sacrifice. They believe, if I love deeply enough, I must tolerate everything. But intelligent women eventually discover something life-changing. Love should not cost you your identity. Carl Jung believed that many people unconsciously merge themselves into relationships because they are afraid to stand alone. They become emotionally dependent and slowly abandon their individuality. But soulmate love was never meant to erase you. It was meant to reveal you. That is why a high-value woman never disappears inside a relationship. She still has dreams. She still has purpose. She still has boundaries. She still protects her peace. A relationship becomes part of her life, not her entire identity. And ironically, this independence creates deeper attraction because emotionally healthy men admire women who are whole within themselves. Example, the woman who stopped shrinking. Imagine a woman who once changed everything to keep relationships alive. She stopped speaking honestly, stopped expressing her needs, stopped pursuing her goals. Little by little, she became invisible inside her own life. Then, one day, she realized something painful. The more she abandoned herself, the less respected she became. That realization transformed her. She began speaking clearly, choosing herself again, rebuilding her confidence. And suddenly, the type of men entering her life changed completely. Because when a woman respects herself, The world responds differently to her energy. 9. High-value women understand the power of silence. Not every situation requires emotional reactions. One of the strongest qualities of an emotionally intelligent woman is knowing when silence carries more power than words. Carl Jung understood that emotionally unconscious people often speak impulsively because they are controlled by inner chaos, but emotionally grounded people pause before reacting. A high-value woman does not argue endlessly, trying to convince someone to value her. She observes. She listens carefully to actions, energy, and consistency. And sometimes, silence becomes her loudest message. The power of quiet confidence. An insecure woman fears silence. She immediately tries to fix everything. Explain everything. Chase answers. But a high-value woman understands something deeper. Not every distance must be forced, closed. If someone pulls away repeatedly, she notices. If someone becomes inconsistent, she notices. If someone cannot communicate honestly, she notices. And instead of creating emotional chaos, she calmly steps back, not from ego, from wisdom, because she understands this truth. A soulmate connection will never require endless emotional confusion. 10. She does not fall in love with potential. One of the greatest traps in relationships is falling in love with who someone could become. Many women stay attached to fantasy instead of reality. They say, "He has potential. He could change. He just needs time." But intelligent women eventually realize something important. Potential does not build relationships. Character does. Carl Jung believed people must choose transformation themselves. You cannot heal someone who refuses self-awareness. That is why high-value women stop trying to rescue emotionally unavailable people. Instead, they ask, "Who is this person consistently showing me they are?" That question protects them from illusion. Example: the broken man. A woman meets a charismatic man. He speaks beautifully about the future. He promises growth. He says he wants real love, but his actions remain inconsistent. He avoids accountability, disappears emotionally, only shows effort when convenient. Many people stay trapped in relationships like this for years because they become attached to possibility. But a high-value woman eventually understands. A soulmate is not someone you must constantly repair. A soulmate is someone emotionally willing to grow with you. That changes everything. 11. High-value women speak with emotional maturity. Immature communication attacks. Mature communication reveals truth. That is why intelligent women avoid emotional manipulation. They do not use jealousy to gain attention. They do not create drama to feel desired. They do not play mind games to feel powerful. Instead, they communicate directly. For example, instead of, "You clearly don't care about me," she says, "I value communication and emotional consistency. I don't feel that energy right now." Notice how calm that sounds. There is no screaming, no humiliation, no emotional chaos, and that calmness creates respect. Carl Jung believed emotional maturity begins when people become conscious of their emotional patterns, instead of blindly reacting through pain. That is exactly what high-value women practice. Self-awareness. 12. Soulmate love requires emotional safety. Many people think attraction alone creates lasting love. But attraction without emotional safety eventually becomes exhausting. Soulmate love feels different. You feel emotionally safe being yourself. You do not fear constant abandonment. You do not walk on eggshells. You do not hide your emotions to avoid conflict. Instead, both people feel emotionally accepted. Carl Jung believed human beings deeply long to be truly seen beneath their masks. That is why soulmate love feels healing. Not because the relationship is perfect, but because both people feel emotionally understood. What real love sounds like. A high-value woman does not say, "Prove I'm worthy of love." Instead, she says, "Let's build something healthy together." That language changes relationships completely, because emotionally mature love is not based on control. It is based on partnership. 13. Her energy inspires men to grow. One of the most misunderstood things about high-value women is this: their standards are not punishment. They are inspiration. Weak men may feel intimidated by emotionally grounded women because they are used to emotional inconsistency. But mature men feel motivated by such women. Why? Because clarity inspires growth. A high-value woman inspires a man to become emotionally better, not through pressure, but through presence. Her self-respect reminds him to respect himself too. Her honesty encourages honesty. Her peace encourages emotional stability. Her depth encourages emotional growth. That is why soulmate connections often transform both people. Not through force, through mutual elevation. Example: the man who changed. A man spent years dating emotionally chaotic relationships. Constant drama, constant games, constant emotional confusion. Then he met a woman who communicated calmly and honestly. At first, it confused him. She did not manipulate him, did not chase him, did not create unnecessary conflict. Instead, she communicated with maturity, and slowly he began changing. Not because she forced him, but because her energy inspired emotional growth within him that is feminine. Power at its highest level. 14. High-value women are not afraid of being alone. One of the greatest forms of freedom is no longer fearing loneliness. Many people stay in painful relationships simply because they are terrified of being alone. But intelligent women eventually understand being alone is not the same as being lonely. Carl Jung believed solitude is necessary for self-discovery because silence reveals truth. A high-value woman uses solitude to reconnect with herself. She grows spiritually, emotionally, mentally, and because she is comfortable alone, she no longer tolerates relationships that drain her soul. That changes her entire energy. She no longer says, "Please stay." She says, "If this connection is not healthy, I am strong enough to walk away." That confidence is deeply attractive. 15. She trusts divine timing. One of the calmest qualities of a high-value woman is patience. She does not force connections. She does not obsess over outcomes. She understands something spiritually powerful. What is meant for her will not require emotional self-destruction. Carl Jung often spoke about synchronicity, meaningful connections that align naturally. Soulmate love often feels this way, not rushed, not forced, not manipulated, but aligned. That is why intelligent women stop chasing unavailable people. Instead, they focus on becoming emotionally aligned with the kind of love they desire. And eventually, life responds. 16. Her love is deep, but not blind. A high-value woman loves deeply. She is nurturing, loyal, supportive, emotionally present, but she no longer confuses unconditional love with unlimited tolerance. This is where many people suffer. They believe loving someone means accepting repeated disrespect. But real love also requires wisdom. Carl Jung believed unconscious love becomes destructive when it lacks awareness. That is why intelligent women love consciously. They give love where it can grow, not where it is constantly wasted. Example, choosing peace over attachment. A woman deeply loved a man who repeatedly hurt her emotionally. For years, she stayed because she believed love meant enduring pain. Until one day, she realized love should nourish the soul, not destroy it. So she left peacefully, not because she stopped loving him, but because she finally loved herself too. That decision changed her life forever. 17. The true language of a high-value woman. In the end, intelligent and high-value women speak differently because they see themselves differently. Their words carry emotional depth because they are connected to self-worth. They do not beg for love. They do not manipulate for attention. They do not abandon themselves for approval. Instead, they speak with clarity, grace, emotional intelligence, inner peace. Carl Jung's wisdom teaches us that soulmate love begins when two people stop hiding behind emotional masks and finally become authentic. That is why high-value women attract deeper love, because authenticity is magnetic. In conclusion, a high-value woman understands love should feel peaceful, not painful. Communication should create connection, not confusion. Boundaries protect love instead of destroying it. And soulmate relationships are built through emotional truth. She knows her worth without arrogance. She walks away without hatred. She loves deeply without losing herself. Her energy says, I will love fully, but I will never abandon my soul to be chosen. And that is why her presence becomes unforgettable. Because in a world full of emotional games, confusion, and superficial connections, she brings depth. She brings peace. She brings truth. And the right man does not fear that energy. He recognizes it as the rarest kind of love he may ever find. Dear beautiful soul, we have come to the end of our lesson. Again, from the bottom of my heart, wish and hope you have learned some knowledge about how intelligent and high-value women talk to men. And may this feminine power and deep emotional truth truly enable you, any woman, a wife, a sister, all learn how to talk to men such that can attract deep soulmate, love, or maybe other better relationships. This is because you deserve the best. If you wish to share your wisdom or experience with us, feel free to put it in the comments section. Let's continue inspire and learning from each other. Kindly subscribe and support to keep more of such Soulmate Connect. Thanks for watching.